Just to let you know, I was unfortunately having some technical issues as I've prepared for this presentation this evening. So hopefully I'm not glitchy and you can hear me clearly. If not, I do have some support this evening. So Mrs. Sullivan, Jackie Sullivan, and Gerald Onks, Mr. Onks, they're both testing coordinators for the school. They are on this call as well. They're also going to be monitoring the chat feature as well. So if you have any questions as we're going through the presentation this evening, feel free to type in the chat. We will be monitoring the chat. And if we don't get to any of the questions during the presentation, we will definitely get to the questions at the end of the presentation. If there are any questions that we cannot answer this evening, we will be collecting all of the questions, both the ones that we answer and those that we can't answer or don't have the answers to. We will be getting the answers to you and putting together an FAQ that we can also share with everyone. So without further ado, we are going to start this presentation. This is the PSSA Parent Orientation for 2021. So the presentation will hopefully provide an understanding of the PSSA, some district information regarding test administration. And for those of you who are new to PSSAs, this is your first time having a child participate in the PSSAs, we're also going to give you some example questions and some resources for you to access as well. So like I said, if you have any questions moving forward, please use the chat feature, and we ask that you remain your microphones to remain on mute as we're going through the presentation. All right, so why are we testing this year? Well, unfortunately, last year, the US Department of Education did waive the standardized testing, which allowed Pennsylvania to waive our PSSA last year. Unfortunately, that did not happen this school year. The US Department of Ed did not waive the PSSA, which meant that states do have to do our state standardized assessments. However, several states have some caveats as far as when they are administering the test, and there is some leeway as far as that goes. But unfortunately, we do still have to administer the test as we have done in the past. As a team, we talked about it. We had a window of opportunity to shift the test either later towards the end of the school year or possibly test in the fall. Collectively, we all decided, and we had teachers involved in the process as well, and obviously everyone that was involved in the test administration decided best thing was to just get it over with, plan as we have in the past, let it not take up too much time at the end of the school year or change anything that we do at the beginning of next school year, and just run through it as we would any given year. So we are moving forward with the testing calendar as we've had it. This is some information for you here, any documentation as far as PSSA frequently asked questions that's available for parents, and then anyone at the high school who has students that are doing the Keystones, there's an FAQ as well. So we are testing 3rd and 4th grade students at the elementaries at the K-4 level. All students will take the PSSAs. The PASA, as listed here, are really for students who are identified with some intellectual disabilities who have not met the criteria or meet the criteria for taking PASA instead of PSSA. 4th grade students take the science exam as well. and the third and fourth together both take the ELA and math. We will share some information as far as the opting out process as we know it. We've gotten some more information on that, but it's still coming in piecemeal. So we'll try to share that a little bit more at the end of the presentation. So this year's PSSA testing will be taken online. That is the difference of what we've done in the past. It is not paper and pencil. We will be doing it online. However, students will need to complete their test on a district issued computer in the building. So they cannot take the test at home. The test has to be on a district issued computer that has a specific software that is loaded onto that computer. Obviously for security reasons, that's why they're doing this. It is state mandated that happens. So there will be no testing remotely at home by students. So if there's any families who are virtual, we will discuss a little bit further into the slides. You will have to bring, students will be brought into the building, okay, for if you do want your child to be, to test for the PSSA. There's an embedded link on this slide as well that gives you an online practice for students. So if you'd like to, once you can get access to this, I will share this with you. You can get access to what the online test looks like and share it with your children. Those students that do come in for testing and all of the students in our building, obviously in the in-person, will receive lunch when they do come in for the building. And then we'll also get into the schedule as to what that would look like. So these are just for our remote learners only. Again, testing does take place at our school. Lunch will be provided. We also got this information today. Obviously, we don't have all of the logistics, but if your child does qualify to be transported on a bus to school, transportation will be provided on the days of testing. We just got this information today. So logistically, we'll have to work that out and share that information with you for those that do want transportation. So we don't know yet how that's going to work. Are there separate buses? Are they going to be included with the students that we have currently in the building? I don't know that information just yet. However, I just wanted to let you know that that is an option for families, is the transportation on the buses. And obviously, if you have a district issued computer, for those virtual kids, those would either be brought in, and we will let you know that ahead of time. It cannot be a, if your child uses their own device at home, that cannot be brought into the school to be used. It would have to be a district issued Chromebook. So we will let you know logistically whether or not your child needs to bring theirs, or we will have extras in the building provided for them. So this is the timeline for the testing. We will begin the week of the 19th for the PSSAs. So for the first week, the week of the 19th, we're planning to do the English and language arts test for 3rd and 4th grade that week. We'll get into a little bit further what that looks like and how many sessions that is. The following week is math and science. That will be done. Each of those tests are 2-day tests. So that we will do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday of that week. And then the following week would be any makeups that we have to conduct. So this is a draft of the schedule at this point. Again, this is just a draft of what the schedule might look like for your child for testing purposes. So the week of the 19th and 20th, we would be giving the ELA test. And then the 22nd, which is Thursday of that week, we will give the 3rd section of that test. And then Friday will be utilized for any makeups that we have to complete for ELA. The following week, is the math and the science. So for third grade is just the math for the 2 days. And for fourth grade, it will be both the math and the science. And the following week, like I said before, is scheduled for any makeups. As far as the time frame goes, as far as when the test will occur during the day, we are designating the morning time. However, students may not start exactly at the same times. So that is forthcoming. And that information will be shared with, especially for virtual families, if there is a change in the time, but we will share that with you as far as exactly when the children will start the testing and when we anticipate them to be completed. But that is included in our slides as far as estimated time frames. If your child receives any kind of testing accommodation, so if they have an IEP or a 504 plan, or if they're an English language learner student that receives any accommodations, that will still be in place for them. In addition to any kind of setting accommodations that they might have, small group testing, etc. Extended time is offered for all students. However, there is students who always get extended time for all tests, so they obviously would get that as well. So here is some information about the ELA test. All right, so I know there's a lot of information on this slide here, okay, but this just shows specifically third and fourth, okay, and down here it's a little bit more clear at the bottom as to what the test looks like, how many sessions, what types of questions are asked, and the estimated time frame. So just to give you an example, on the bottom left corner, the chart indicates that this is the third grade ELA test. There's anywhere from 14 to 18 multiple choice questions. There is one EBSR, okay, test with question, which is evidence-based selected response question, okay? And then it'll tell you how many passages the students will have and the estimated time. So in this case, the first part, anywhere from 43 to 59 minutes, and is the estimated time, so about an hour for that first section. Section 2, 14 multiple choice again, 2 EBSR questions, 48 minutes is the estimated time. And then that third part, very similar, okay, with that time frame similar to the first test. Fourth grade, the only difference you'll see is the types of written response questions. There is something called text-based analysis questions, and we'll share a little bit more information on that in the upcoming slides. But you can see the estimated time frames for fourth grade is longer. There are more multiple choice questions, more EBSR questions for fourth grade, and there are more somewhat about the same amount of passages. However, obviously the questions, as you can see here, their estimated time frames are anywhere from, close to 70 minutes all the way to 88 minutes. And again, these are just average estimated time frames. Students do vary in when they're completed, and they do have extended time. But just so that you know, we do block out anywhere from about 2 hours per test. So we do schedule testing administration to be around about a 2-hour time frame. So that does cover well beyond that estimated time frame. So again, these are just the types of questions that are being asked in the reading and the ELA test. For the short answer EBSR questions, they are scaled or rated with numbers. So for the short answer and the writing prompts, they use a scale of 0 to 3 points. So obviously, to get the maximum of 3 points, students obviously should answer all parts of the question. using information from the text, such as describing, naming, explaining, or giving examples. Okay, so, and many teachers throughout the year use various examples with texts that they've already done in the classroom in order to practice these types of responses. This is an example of a grammar question in 3rd or 4th grade. This is a multiple choice question. There are additional resources. So if you want to have some information about what parts of the test, what are the assessment anchors, what is the glossary of information that students should learn or study, this link will provide you with multiple resources that you can research. In addition, these links here will link you to various samplers, scoring samplers that from old tests that are used, and you can refer back to. Just so you know, PSSA, they do throw in several questions in reading and in math that are questions that they are looking to test. So they're not necessarily questions that students will be graded on, but they may be questions that they're looking to move and put into the test in future years. So they sometimes test the questions out on students to see how they do. So those are also included in the test themselves, but those questions are not marked incorrect or wrong. Don't go against the student if they mark them incorrectly. Here are some additional resources for ELA. This is an example of an evidence-based response, so the EBSR. So as you can see, you're not gonna have time to read this but it just gives you a passage for, students will read the passage. After the passage, there are questions that go along with the passage, and students need to answer those questions. Some of them are multiple choice, others could be short answer. For the text-dependent analysis question, this is kind of like that first page that they'll give you for students. Many of those questions are usually come after as students read the passage. It will ask them a specific question, something that they either need to reflect on. Usually they'll have to answer in an essay-like format. It may take longer for them to prepare. We ask that they'll be provided with scrap paper in order for them to write things down if they want to jot some things down as they're reading, or as they're gathering their thoughts. If they want to outline something, they can do that on scrap pieces of paper. And obviously, in these types of questions, students are expected to use the information from the text to justify their responses. This is, again, the scoring guide, but this is for the text-dependent analysis. So this is for the 4th grade kind of responses. It's a little bit more sophisticated in what they're looking for in order to earn the higher points, the 4. So I won't go into it, deeply, but this is something you can refer back to, and if you want to review that with your children. The teachers also use this as well, and those questions to practice as well in school. So for the math test, here are some links as well. If you want information on the scoring guide, any policies for math. For the math, down here is where I'm going to reference. There is, for 3rd through 8th grade, there are 2 sections. They're multiple choice, both 24 questions each. There are 2 open-ended math questions at the end, and they need to usually justify their answer, write the process that they came to in answering that specific question, and the estimated time frame is about close to 80 minutes for both those tests. This is the open-ended scoring guide for the math section. And as you can see there, to earning the top score, they're looking for students to be clear, having the correct answer, having the complete mathematical procedure shown, you know, and obviously making sure that they're complete in their answers and can demonstrate the clear understanding. Since they are in the past, obviously, when they were in person, they would get a ruler or they will be allowed to utilize a calculator for the 4th grade students. However, because the test is online this year, those resources will be available on the computer. So if there is a question that's measurement, they will be able to use a online ruler that they can use in the actual measurement question. And there is a calculator that's available for them to use online as well. This is an example of a number and operations question, specifically on fractions. This is a kind of multi-step numbers and operation question for 3rd grade. And this one just has more, you know, a lot of text in it. Here is a measurement and data question. And this is an operations and algebraic thinking question. And again, all of these are grade level specific on grade level standards. So 3rd and or 4th grade content will be tested depending on the grade that they're in. And this is a geometry question. All right, so now moving into science. Here are some resources that you can link to if you want more information on the science. As far as the what it looks like, in 4th grade, science is only given to 4th and 8th grade. There are 38 what they call core questions, so they're multiple choice. As you can see here, there are 20, well, down here, I'm sorry, for 4th grade, okay, there's 23 multiple choice, 3 open-ended with an estimated time frame of about 38 minutes. It's a little shorter than some of the other tests. And the same one for section 2. So there are 2 sections here. Obviously, this is 8th grade. That doesn't pertain to us. This is the scoring guide. So it's instead of a scale to 0 to 4, there is a 0 to 2 scale for the open-ended questions in the science. We've done fairly well in the past couple of years in our science tests across the board. And again, the science test is basically just a reading test. So if the students can read well, they usually do fairly well in the science portion. This is an example of one of the science questions. Here's an example of an open-ended question. All right, so now that we've gone through all parts of the test, these are just some things that when we're administering the test to students, these are some of the things that all of our teachers, must. We all get training. All of our building staff, regardless of the grade. So if you have children in kindergarten or first grade, every teacher takes the PSSA administration test. Why? Because we never know when we're going to need them in testing. And I will say this year, we might have to utilize other grade levels to help administer the tests, especially for our virtual students. So I will say this now, for the administration or the duration of the test, there probably will be some disruption in the current schedule, and there could be some days where we're doing asynchronous work, and those that are doing virtual are doing work asynchronously because we are utilizing other grade level teachers in the administration of our PSSA. So we will share that information with everyone if your child or child's grade level for a younger grade is affected with any of those changes to our schedule. But these are just some do's and don'ts. The ones that are crossed out are just ones that don't apply to this year because we're doing everything on the computer. So these are some things we always make sure that we do provide certain things for students during the test, things that we're obviously not allowed to do during the test. And there's other things that we learn and training that we need to go through, in addition to trainings that we have to provide, not only on the computer with our teachers, but we actually have to give another training session for all of our staff combined. And that'll happen prior to the test. We're asking if your child has a cell phone or any kind of smart watch or anything of that nature. They are not allowed to have that on their person during the test. So we're asking that either they don't bring it in, or if they are bringing it into school, it's off and in their book bags during the test. And if there's a situation where they're calling you right after the test, depending on the schedule to pick them up, then obviously they'll be allowed to use that device, but not during the test, not where the tests are being administered. So there's strict rules about that. So no cell phones or smart watches or anything like that in the rooms where students are testing. All right, these are ways that you can help if your child is testing. So kind of talking to them about it, being aware of it, monitoring them for rest, obviously providing them some good meals, good breakfast before they come to the building. We will provide lunch if the students so choose. If not, you can feel free to bring a lunch for them if you want them to have something to eat after they're done testing. And if your ways that we know that your child is ready, okay, we're hoping that they get a good night's sleep prior to the test. They stay hydrated. We will allow them to have, a water bottle to bring with them to their testing locations. And these are just, again, some things that we want to remind them of. Obviously, be on time. Hopefully you don't have any scheduled appointments, that have to occur during this testing window. If so, if you cannot move those appointments around, then we just ask that we will hopefully give you an opportunity, or your child an opportunity, to make up those tests during the makeup days. And we do offer students an opportunity for stretch breaks. We can pause the test for short periods of time during the test, and students can kind of stand up and stretch if they need to. If they need to go to the restroom briefly, okay, they are allowed to go to the restroom if they need to. So it's not that they're locked into a 2-hour testing window and they're not allowed to move or do anything, okay? After the test, though, we do ask if your child is coming in virtually, if you're a virtual child coming in for testing, we are asking that students have something to read, something quiet that they can do after the test, because some do get done early. And if we are waiting for others to be done, or it's not quite time to dismiss from the testing location, the students need to be quiet and allow those others to finish their test until they need something to read or do quietly, so they can bring that from home. But obviously no electronic devices. All right, and just obviously being mentally prepared. This is obviously something very new for students that are taking tests this year, especially in this type of environment. But we are going to make the best of it. So obviously making sure that students are kind of calm, and let them know that these tests does not count for them having to move on. It does not count if they do not do well. It's not going to make a difference for them next year in any kind of placement. It doesn't affect them. For those of you who have 4th graders that are moving on to 5th grade and you're worried about any kind of placement and any additional advanced type coursework, that's not going to be the case for any of these. So I just want to let you know that we are doing it because we are being told to do it. But we don't want you to have to worry your children about it too much moving forward. So these are just some test taking tips, and we will share this with students. Teachers will share it with students, but we always try to remind them, they're always trying to trick you. So just reading the passage, reading all of the answer choices, trying to eliminate the answers. Obviously, they won't have the ability to cross anything out, or we don't have them cross anything out in the books when we do have the books anyway. So they're not doing any of this online, obviously. And we want them to take their time. And we want them to make sure they, before they kind of turn things in, they have a chance to look over their responses. Do you have anything to add to that, Ms. Sullivan?
Hi, everybody. I'm Ms. Sullivan. As for the crossing out, this is actually a new thing for us, because typically we tell the kids, don't cross out, don't cross out. But in the online version, they actually have a tool that allows them to cross out answers that they have eliminated. So it's kind of contradictory to what we've done, but this year they have that as an option. So that's all.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that, because I have not had the chance to view the 88 page manual for the online test, and that's why I have Ms. Sullivan and Mr. Unks reviewing all of those items, because those are all new to me, and obviously there is a difference with the online version and the paper pencil version. So thank you for clarifying that.
And Mr. Perez, that just to clarify, that's 88 pages per test. So there's
per test. Okay.
So then third grade reading,
yes.
3rd grade math, 4th grade reading. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to hopefully count on you guys to give me the Cliff Notes version.
That's not even including the other
of those assessments. All right. So for the parents, if you can take a moment, you want to pull out your phones. If you have not done the survey yet, and we thank you for those that haven't. Some of you have waited until this moment because you wanted to hear the information before you answered the survey. We would like you to fill out the survey and give us information about what you intend to do with your children during the testing process.